Hey, this is Sir Randall, and I wanted to show what I did to make the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth manual because I was so tired of new games not coming with manuals. And this is completely unscripted. It might be better, but it was just something I just wanted to show you and like the process I am following and what I did to make this manual. I will show you the process of how I made it and printed it out and stapling it together, but we'll go through that later. But this is how I wanted to show you how I made it. So how did I make it? Well, I used Affinity Publisher 2. I didn't use Adobe, and I know Adobe is the industry standard and some people don't have it, but I hate the subscription model. I'm sorry, I'm still salty about that. I am not paying 20 to 50 bucks a month to use the software sometimes. I think I paid, actually I got this on sale or I got a deal. I got $20. I could use it once or as many times without paying any more. It works for me, but I understand some people who have who need it for work because it is the industry standard and working with other people. Fair enough. Okay, ranting's over with. So how did I get this and all this information in here? There's a lot of information. And I wish I could say that, I just played the game and I knew the ins and outs and I did all this. And I could probably have done that, but I would have to go back. It would have been awful. And I probably wouldn't have gotten as accurate information or as much. So what I did is I did a screenshot. I used my capture card and I did a screenshot. And then what I did is that Apple software, I don't know this on Windows, so sorry. I only use my Windows PC for gaming. It's pretty much just a $3,000 console at this point. I don't use it for anything else but gaming. PS5 for consoles on the higher end, Switch, and then I got the PC. So it's the best of three worlds because most of the Xbox games comes on PC anyway. So there you go. But anyway, so in Mac, and I'm pretty sure there's a way to do it in Windows. I'm not sure, but I was able to copy this information, just like copy this text. So I had to go through all the in-game manual and copy this text. And let's paste it here. Boom. And as you can see, after copying that information, it's all here. And that's what I went through. I copied it and get it. So here's the first rough draft of everything. I had to make dark mode because I couldn't. My eyes are awful, all right? It's not just because it's a fad. I actually use dark mode because it's easier on my eyes. I actually had a cornea transplant and I have keratoconus, so like reading some of the stuff really hurts my eyes. So I literally have a reason to like dark mode, but everybody should like dark mode. So I'm just so happy that dark mode's becoming a thing because it makes my life so much easier. It's amazing. So once I did that, I took it, I took the screenshots and layouts of everything and put them in here. You see, like, here's all the screenshots of all the information I put. I knew exactly where to put it. And just for a reference of how some font looked, or I just kept references in here. So I kept everything, all the screenshots I took and put them in here. So I knew exactly how it was supposed to look and how the information flowed. So after copying and pasting and putting all this information together, it's a lot. It's like, what is it? 80 something pages? 81 pages. And that was just on smaller text. And I had to expand it. And I didn't realize that it was going to be a tough fit because the Final Fantasy Rebirth is a double disc game. And well, that took up even more internal. So I had to cut it down. So the one that actually made it fit, and using a little bit of thinner paper, little bit of thinner photo paper actually for the laser printer, I was able to get it down to 55 pages. And that was taking out all the unnecessary information. Like, I really wanted to keep the mini games in there. But the mini games themselves took like 10 pages because there's so much information about the things. And even then, when I cut it down, I still had to make cuts. And I figured, well, the mini games are in there. So it was unfortunate. I had to cut all of that information, and I really hated losing that, but I couldn't fit it in the game. I wanted this to be able to fit into the PS5 case. So I've used PageMaker back in the 90s. It was in high school, and it was all this PageMaker. Then Adobe bought it, and it was Adobe PageMaker. Then Adobe PageMaker became InDesign. In high school, I did work credit. I worked for the local newspaper, and I used Adobe PageMaker to do the layouts and stuff. Problem is I haven't done that, and it was just text, so I never done anything like in a graphic way before. So this was new to me, and I'm going to tell you right now, bleed. Oh man, found out the hard way. But bleed is the information that runs off the page. Like I would cut here, and it's so important because sometimes you want it. If you have a page, you want the whole thing to be shown right off the edge. And trust me, when you cut, it looks so much better. Also, it helps because not everything gets lined up, even as hard as you try. As hard as you try, some things just don't line up. And one page could be, like a centimeter down. And when you cut, that 1 centimeter white line is going to drive you insane. So I found out that bleed is the best way to make sure the print runs off the page so it looks good when you cut it, and also helps just in case there's a little something off. And especially when you bind it or you staple it and you fold it over, all the pages don't line up, and the bleed really helps. So when you cut this, everything is solid all the way through. Bleed is so important. I can't express enough how important the bleed is. And I learned that the hard way. The controls, I had to do all this. This was fun. Using this was easy. I used in-game graphics, and what you can do is remove the background. There's a website I use, remove background something, but I just took what was in the game. I took a screenshot, put it in there, and it cut these things out really, really nice. And I used AI upscaling for that. So it was really, really cool. And I just used the in-game graphics for that. And I took a lot of the in-game dream shots are mine. I just felt like copying someone else's work would probably be awful, and I would have to get credit, and don't know. And in looking for that, you don't know if someone else copied someone else's. So I was like, you know what? So I did all this myself, which just made things longer. But in the long run, at least it was. At least I know it's my work. I wonder why that's like that. It's probably something. The video. It prints totally fine. It's probably something. I have no idea what's going on here, and I'm doing this off the cuff. Yeah, it looks fine. It looks like there's something wrong with the video. It's probably an update I did, and it's just not liking it. All right, it's fine. Anyway, you're gonna have to deal with it. I'm not recording this again. This is gonna be a one-off thing. Next video, I'm gonna do Final Fantasy RPG, and I'm gonna do that start from finish. And that'll be, somewhat better scripted and whatnot. But I just wanted to go through the process that I went through. So a lot of these images I needed. And the cool place for that is Final Fantasy Rebirth. It was their press kit. So if you go to their press kit website, here's the image I used for master pages. And again, I have to go back. Master pages are great, especially if you're using something that's repeating over and over again. So say you have like a whole chapter that uses the same background, which I did. I set this up so that I know that everything's lined up the same. I did that for a lot of different pages, which was great. It helped make sure everything's lined up and everything was the same. And it also cuts down on work. And so not only do you make sure that everything's lined up, you have the rules and everything, rulers you need for everything to line up. It just makes your life easier since you don't have to, keep doing this over and over again. So it's a double thing, you make sure that everything's uniform, and it cuts down the amount of work you need to do. Or, sometimes if you just copy and paste, but still it's just uniform and it's just nice. So I used a lot of the website from the press kit. and I got a lot of the graphics from here, which I quoted in this page. So I made sure that I gave all the credits I could. Disclaimer saying, no, this is a fan thing, nothing to be with Square Enix, and all property and rights belong to them. Saying where I got the information from in-game and then the website for Rebirth. I made sure, and all the fonts I used, I made sure to give them. I gave my small credit at the end. I figured, since I put this all together, but I made sure to lay out everything. So that's pretty much how I did it. And as much as I hated, I had to cut off the mini games. But it was just so thick. This is absolutely pushing the limit. If I had one more page, it would not fit. So it's 56 pages. And another thing I noticed that I was like, why is there always like notes? If you ever had an old manual for like a Super Nintendo, and sometimes you open it up and there's like, 1 or 2 pages of notes, it's because I realized that they needed page filler. Because since these are 2 pages and 2 pages back and front and back, so what you need to make sure is that the number of pages you need to be, at least in this switch, had to be divided by 4. So if it doesn't divide by 4, it's not going to print right. So, and it won't look right, and it doesn't work. You have to have it divided by 4. So either take some pages away, or you add pages. And most of the time, you just add pages. So that's why in the back of the book, if you ever see notes, like in the Super Nintendo manual, or even any manual that has notes in the back, that's just page filler because they had no other choice, because they needed to pad it out so it would be able to print in the exact way. This is some stuff I learned. It was a lot of fun doing this. So that's how I made the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth manual. I had a lot of fun with it. So with that out of the way, let's take a look at this. Obviously, it was upside down, but still, it fits in there. Barely. I had to make a lot of cuts. This is a thick boy, and this is a double disc game, so yeah. Spinning it just didn't do it. Alright, so the table of contents, characters, and really like the pages I put in here to break it up. Controller I did. I got an SVG of this controller, made sure everything looked good. Just like background in a bit, but like here's like here's materia and HP, how to restore, doing the world. It has a lot in here. But yeah, it looks really good. Pretty thick, goes in through a lot of things. Has all the things, and even the controller stuff is in there. So it looks pretty good. It's about 55 pages long. And trust me, I went from 105 to 55. So I had to do a lot of creative thinking on this one. But I think overall, this came out pretty good. I am really impressed with it.